Hello my dear friendsitas, how's your life? Did you miss me? Of course you did. Come on, we know we have been missing each other. So today I will show you the art process behind this artwork here. Magnificent. And the way this idea came is, I was talking to one girl and I told her that she's sweet, and then suddenly it was like boom, the idea of cake face. And no, that's not that girl, in case you wonder. This is a quite advanced and difficult artwork. That's why I cannot show you, everything in details, because it would take me like a whole class, basically 3 or 4 hours. But I will show you the art process and explain you some interesting parts. And let me just remind you that if you want to master Photoshop, learn how I create my artworks, you can always go to learnfromfred.com. You can check out all of the classes that I have on my website, like this dreamy artwork, melting artwork, this cool stuff, this 3D lines, how to animate your artworks and images in Photoshop, Photoshop 3D, and all the other cool classes that I have here. And you can get single classes, or you can get the whole membership, which is just $5 for your first month, and you also get my full support, which is pretty crazy. I should have probably stopped that offer, but it's still running, and we will see what will happen. So with that said, let's go to Photoshop. I'm just gonna open my project and I will explain you step by step everything that I did. It's preferably if you look here instead of here, otherwise you're going to go crazy because I have too many layers here. So the first thing that we will have is just this image here, and it's not even color graded, that this is a basic image, and as you can see the colors are pretty dull. So what I did is I added some camera raw filter. Basically I changed the colors and make them look nicer and so on. Here are some of the settings that I used, and it's like when you use the haze, it makes everything pop basically. Next step I did is I had to cut these parts of the faces, so basically this part and this part. And if you remember the original artwork, as you can see here, we're going to have a cake piece, and here just something like cutting out. The way I this, and the way I usually do all of my cuts is using Curvature pen tool. It's very simple. You create, you just start drawing something, and then you just convert it into a selection, and voila, now I have a selection, and you can cut this out from the image. After I did that, I needed some tasty cake images, and for that I actually used, let me just show that to you, my dear friendsitas. I used these 2 cake images, and I will provide all the images in the description in case you want to recreate this. This is cake number 1. Oh, this is cake number 2. Don't get hungry, okay? Please, let's finish the tutorial, then you can eat how much you want. Not too much, okay? I mean, you can eat too much if you want. Why do I care, right? I mean, obviously I care about your health, but okay, shut up, Farid. I talk too much. Next step is again the cakes. So, oops, wait, this is not it. Where is this stupid cake? Here. So let me just open, and as you can see, this was the cake image, and I cut it out and I left only the cake. As you can see, everything else is transparent. And next thing you do is just you need to put it into perspective, because in the image the cake is straight. You need to put it into perspective, and you can do that by just some simple perspective tools. Like for example, you can use perspective, you can bring it up, down, and so on. So basically it needs to look like it's going inside. That's exactly what I did. I also added some nice colors, because as you can see, this is boring, but when I add some, do some color changes, it already pops. Next, I need some cake here as well. So for that, I used the second image, this one, where the cake is looking down, this part basically. And again, I also curved it to make it look more interesting. And the way I curved it is using warp. So if you go to free transform, you can click right button and use warp, and this basically helps you to do lots of cool warps, and warp the cake around, make it down, up, and so on, and make it look however you want it to look. So I'm just gonna click cancel here so it comes back to normal. Next step is to have here some borders. So basically this part of the cake, if you look, we have here some borders, because we need to see that there is some dimension inside. For that, I just used this is basically a copy of the same image, but darker. So basically, if I turn the original image off, we can see a copy of it, but darker. As you can see, I added some brightness layer, okay. I also added some noise. We can see here these dots. This is basically noisiness. If I turn them off, boom, no noise. So let me just turn this on, and voila. So basically just create a copy and you just move it a little bit to the right, left, and that's basically how it's done. So next, obviously I need some shadows, And this is pretty simple. You just use brush tool with black colors, and you just, when you use your brush tool, just make opacity and flow like say 20%, so when you draw it's not too hard. So for example, if I have here just black color, I can make opacity and flow, let's say, lower, and if I start drawing, as you can see, it's getting darker very steadily, which means we can control the shadows. So I'm just gonna go back. Oh my god, I destroyed it. Okay, this is it with the shadows. Next, that's not it. Wait, that's not it. Here, I needed here to smudge basically this part with the cake, because I thought this is going to look more realistic like that. Because obviously, if you take a cake out, like when you cut the cake, you take it out. If you look at the side, you will see that it's not perfect. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's like soft, it's mixed and so on. So that's what I did. And for that, I used just smudge tool. This tool basically here. This tool helps us to basically smudge things. So if I it's not working because we have this image here. So for example, just an example, if I create an empty layer and if I do this, voila, as you can see, it just takes and smudges everything which we don't need right now. So obviously then I also added some cake here in the background. I added some shadows here. If you look, no shadows to make it look more realistic. This thing. So yeah, what is this basically? It's just a shape. So if I just double click to show it to you, as you can see, this is just a vector shape that I created using pen tool, and I just draw it myself. Then I created a copy of it, this one basically, and I moved it to the back and made it darker so that it looks like it's the depth of this, so it looks more a little bit like 3D, which in fact it's not 3D, it's just two layers behind each other. One is darker, that's why it looks like it's 3D. And also added, as you can see, add noise effect here, some noise effect. This makes it look more realistic and also, I don't know, just more artisty, I would say artsy, and I like it. Now let's go to the cake and the fork. So let's go step by step. So as you can see here, I have the face, and this is basically the part of the face that I cut from her. And I just made it thinner so that it looks like it's a little bit bended, because when you cut it like that, it looks straight, right? But I need to make it look like it's like that, so it's from this part, you know, because I need to give it some dimensions. So it's very simple how you do that. So let me just show it to you. For example, this is the original. As you can see, it's pretty straight. And what I did here is like using free transform, I could just, you know, scale this like that, and it already looks like it's looking to the side. Or you can also use perspective to make it look like it's looking to the side by doing like things like that. I'm gonna click cancel. Next step is of course the cake. Again, this is the same cake like I did here. I just made it smaller and I put it here. And of course I used some mask in order to make it appear only behind the face. Next step is again using smudge tool. I use smudge tool to make the face and the cake blend so it looks like it's a real cut. Afterward, but this is not it. What is this? Yeah. Okay, the spoon. The fork. So this is a fork image that I got online, and again I will provide all the images in the description. And what it basically, what it does, it sticks to the face. That's what it does. So it's pretty simple. I just put it here. I used some mask to hide, you know, this part of the fork to make it look like it's sticking there. Also added some shadows to make it look more realistic. I added more shadows, as you can see. And what else I did is I added these cuts. And the way I did it is this is just a brightness contrast layer, and basically with the highest contrast, that's why these parts are so juicy, and also a little bit darker brightness. That's why it looks like it's darker. So basically I just made the skin darker. So if you see, it's basically just the same skin, it's darker and it's juicier, and I just used mask to show it only here. That's why it looks like a cut. So what is next? Okay, next I did the same to the upper part. So basically here I have this fork with the same scars, you know, stuck in the face and all that stuff. And the last part is this. What is this? But how I did it. Basically just use brush tool, and the way I did it is actually very easy. Here I have brightness layer. Okay, you make it darker. So basically you just make the skin darker. And as you can see, I can make it brighter, darker, and so on. What you do next is you select this mask, you select brush tool, and here, as you can see, I don't have circle. I actually used a different brush, which is this one. And also, as you can see, there's spacing between brushes. So of course I didn't go like click, 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 click. No, that would have killed me, you know. So what I did is I increased spacing between them, and if you look here, the spacing increases. And now, for example, let me make my brush smaller. For example, let's also take, yeah. And then if I just start drawing, okay, oh, this is not 100%. You see, there's spacing between them. Also, I just change the direction, and voila. And if I make this one, as you can see, it just draws. So spacing is very important here to create that effect. Few last touches. What I did is I added some brightness and also contrast to make it pop. And also I added this effect here, which is basically, it makes it looks like a texture. So if I turn this off and on, boom, it makes it look like a texture. It's just an image. Let me just show it to you. It's just, and here, it's just a texture image that I found online. You can just go to, let's say, unsplash.com, type in texture and find this there, and then I just made it appear only on the goal. And also blending mode, I think it was overlay. And another thing I did is I added also the same texture but made it red to the background. Let me close this. Afterward, I also just used it again, camera raw filter. So before, after, to make it pop, and also make some places vibrant and play with brightness. Oh my god, my vocals are going to die now. You see, it took me 14 minutes to explain this to you. Imagine if I would have done a tutorial, how long this would be. I mean, crazy. That's why it's like, this is really difficult. If you found this difficult and you want to be able to understand this stuff without even a question, just go to my website, because once you go through the classes and projects that I have there, you will know Photoshop like, I mean, like your 5 fingers, you know? Like, you do know your fingers, right? You do have names for them, right? Wait, you don't? You don't have names for your fingers? I'm the only one who does that?